Hi there guys, and welcome to a special edition of the Great North Road Pub Crawl. And I'm in the town of Grantham in Lincolnshire. Now last year when I came through here, I didn't actually have much time to explore the town as I was on a bit of a time limit and had to get to the next town, Newark, from my train home. And so last year I explored the Tollemache Inn, which is a Wetherspoons in the town, and the old bank before diverting off towards Barrowby and through the villages up towards Newark that way, because the A1, the dual carriageway from London to Edinburgh, is a little bit too dangerous to cycle along. So I'm back in Grantham, and I'm going to do the walk from Grantham up to the nearby village of Great Gonerby and taking in the secrets of the old Great North Road. So just behind me in the main part of the high street is a statue of Frederick Tollemache, who was the town's MP for quite a long time here in the Victorian times. So a famous statue of him behind me, well, Wetherspoons named after him, the Tollemache Inn, also known as the Tolly round here. So let's go in and have a quick swift bath before exploring the old Great North Road. So what is Grantham famous for? Well, Margaret Thatcher's from here, that's for sure. She was born here about 100 years ago and became to be the first female Prime Minister of the country. And she's not a very popular figure. She tried to crush the unions. She had that little disagreement with Argentina over the Falklands in 1982. And her government, well, they did the buying a house thing, people could buy their council houses. So, but yeah, this statue's probably had many tomatoes thrown at her many times. So she is overlooking the Great North Road. And another famous figure overlooking the Great North Road is Sir Isaac Newton. Yeah, it's the old Great North Road here in Grantham. So basically Isaac Newton, famous philosopher and all that. I'm going to feature a lot of him on the Mern Street edition, so I'll get back to you on that one. So next to the museum is a blue plaque to Police Officer Edith Smith, who was actually the very first female police officer in this country. And she was based here. She came from up north, I think it's the Rochdale area, and she was based here for several years. And then she had to multitask her role as a nurse during the First World War. And then she went a bit doolally and died up north. But she was based in Grantham for a few years, 1915 to 1918. So this was where the very first female police officer was based, right here in Grantham. And where the blue plaque is situated, they've actually named this alleyway between the museum and Guildhall after her, the Edith Smith Way. So guys, I'm standing outside the Angel and Royal. It's basically this current gatehouse just here dates back to the 14th century, but there's evidence of this inn being here since the 9th century. Apparently there's some ancient cellars here. Now tradition holds it that King John and his train of courtiers were lodged here on the 23rd of February 1213, 2 years before he signed the Magna Carta, and I think that was in nearby Lincoln, God knows. But anyway, let's go and see if I can try and get inside and check out this place. So this is the main courtyard of the Angel and Royal. Back then it was known as the Angel Inn. This could stable up to 50 houses, and it's got an old interesting one of these, you put your head in it and you get splattered tomatoes on your face, I suppose. But yeah, that is the other view of the gatehouse dating back to the 14th century. You can just about make out the Tudor beams there. I'm now inside the old historic inn, and basically this room here on the upper floor, on the 19th of October 1483, King Richard III, who was just basically received the throne, received the Great Seal here in this very room, and started to begin proceedings against the Duke of Buckingham. A lot of history has gone into this room, and look at the grandeur. There's an old picture of the old king himself. So stunning. A lot of history here. But more importantly, I need to head down to the bar downstairs. Wow, so a lot of history from that pub there, or hotel, inn, whatever you want to call it. Absolutely fantastic. Definitely worth visiting in Grantham. We'll head back there again. And now heading down the Great North Road, you've got the Black Dog over there. typical lager pub, and at the bottom is the one-way system, which is not interesting until you see. Well, actually, before we get to the one-way system, you've got the former pub here called the Playhouse. Unfortunately, it closed down years ago and it's still derelict. Sad time. So on the one-way system, you've got the Nobody Inn, absolutely belter of a pub, fine cast ales in there. Went in there the other week. It's actually one of the pubs to my home now that I live in Grantham. Absolutely fantastic pub. So again, recommended. Haven't got time to go in there today. I've been in there quite a few times, so I'll show you some photos and all that in a second. But yeah, seriously, highly recommended. Now I'm going to walk up that road there, out of Grantham town centre towards Great Gonerby. So halfway between Grantham and Great Gonerby, on the Great North Road, is the Edmund Bolter Step. Now he was a famous businessman, and he used to live up in this direction, but he also had houses such as Wimpole Hall in Cambridgeshire. And anyway, when he got a bit older, he had trouble getting off his horse and carriage, so this stone and a set of others along the route would be positioned so he can climb out the carriage safely. So yeah, and he did this until he died in 1709. So lots of steps like this on the way on the Great North Road, but this is the most northerly step. So some have disappeared, you know, over time. I haven't actually seen any of the others yet. So, but hey, that's just north of Grantham town centre. Right, so I'm now actually leaving Grantham. I'm right on the border, Great North Road, and basically means I'm starting a descent at Gonerby Hill. There's a lot of history behind this hill, one of the highest hills on the Great North Road. So let's check out what's at the top and what makes this hill so famous on this road. So I'm at the top of the hill. This is the village of Great Gonerby, the first village you come to when leaving Grantham to the north. Even though it's spelled Gonerby, you pronounce the O as a U, so it's actually Gonerby. And this village, because it has the BY at the end, indicates that this is Viking origin, and it's believed to originate from a Viking tribal chief, Gunvar, who had an encampment here. So let's go and check out the Great Gonerby village on the Great North Road. Dating back since the late 12th century, Great Gonerby has a very fine church here, and it's only one of two dedications to the Saint Sebastian in the United Kingdom. The other one's located in Wokingham, just southwest of the city of London. So yeah, however, note the clock, I'll tell you why. So we come to a statue of a clock pelter. So basically that clock on the church was installed to replace an existing one in 1897 to commemorate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. The locals were renowned for throwing stones at it in an attempt to stop it or move it so that they could knock off early from the work from nearby. Well, that's the story, but anyway, this is a Gonerby clock pelter. Stop throwing rocks at the church, guys. I totally love this bench next to the clock pelter statue. So basically it's got rock down, lockdown. So basically this bench was installed in 2020 in the middle of the COVID lockdown, and I think it's pretty nice. Right in the heart of Great Gonerby is this lamppost, which was installed in 1997. This cast iron post is a replacement for the original one which stood here, and there's always been one here since 1911. Now I haven't actually come across one of these on the Great North Road, so here it is, I suppose. At the summit of this hill in Great Gonerby is a gibbet, or gibby, depends if you pronounce the T or not. And this basically used to scare people when they used to hang fake bodies from it, because Gonerby Hill was not a pleasant place to be when you're walking up and down the Great North Road. So I'm going to write more about this in my blog. It's a little bit long-winded, but when people used to see this and saw people hanging from it, it's a way of educating them to say, do not stray from the Great North Road, especially at night, where highwaymen would be waiting to stop you in the trails and rob you, or maybe do things worse. Dick Turbin used to be no stranger to these parts. So yeah, I'm going to write more about this in my blog, so check out my blog. But yeah, this is the final thing to see in Great Gonerby before you head back down the hill towards Newark. A site in history. So that's it, guys. So that's the special edition of the Great North Road between Grantham and Great Gonerby. I hope you learned some things, maybe. I don't know. I've certainly enjoyed checking out 2 new pubs today. And yeah, c'est la vie, that's life. Pubs, history, that's what I like best. Right, onwards and upwards up the Great North Road towards Edinburgh.